I'm using the party structure.
What I'm saying, therefore, is that even when the party structure is favoring a particular candidate, they still need to go out and canvass and campaign for votes. And they're not doing this.
So you're saying...
They said they're in court, in and out of court, almost on a daily basis.
You're saying they stand...
And the members are also disenchanted, as you can see. And so that is a lot of problem for them. And unless they can really, some miracle could happen between now and next week for them to actually turn the situation around, I think they are actually...
And you are writing off a PDP in this now.
I'm not so sure that they can do much.
So APC,
AD, like I said earlier, Chief Oke came from PDP to APC, from APC to AD, because of his desire to run for an election. AD did not know that they were going to have a candidate until from 2, 3, 4 weeks ago when he came over. So you actually need more time to actually groom your candidate, to actually do a lot of things than the kind of time that Chief Oke has had in AD. And so, for me, I would look in the direction of APC.
That's where you're pitching yourself?
For the victory of this election.
Okay.
Rotimi Akeredolu, though they have their own problems coming out of the primary process, but at the same time, he's been around, he's had the support of nearly everybody, including some of those who actually contested against him at that level. These other factors that you're bringing up about perhaps leadership who may not support his position, I have not seen anything to indicate that even then they will work against him. Rather, the prefer that might just be quiet and just let it go. So if you don't have that kind of scenario, I think Rotimi Akeredolu is going to win that election.
All right. Let's now move away from these political giants who will be representing their parties. Let's look at the umpire itself now. INEC, against all the rancor, against all the activities going on, they're going ahead with this election. And some people have started saying, is INEC being fair? Let me ask you this question, Mr. Ajay. What are your thoughts?
You said people are asking questions that in spite of what's going on, INEC is still going on. Yeah. Are you saying that INEC should have waited until all the court cases are finished or something?
No, do you recall that, for instance, the emergence of Jimoh Ibrahim was not monitored by INEC? This is something that has caused ripples in the background of all this.
All right, now I get where you are coming from.
All right, then, so
I'll
pick
take
it up from there.
Remember that it was even Itayo Jegede that INEC first put on its list.
Exactly.
But the court now came and said that it was Jimoh Ibrahim, that the court recognizes, going by what's going on within the party. That is the McCarthy as well as Alimodu Sharif factions of the party. So I think that is in the light of the fact that as far as the official position is concerned, it is Alimodu Sharif that is controlling PDP. And it is a recognized party, that party structure that can present candidates, which means it is the candidate that is presented by that particular faction that will be recognized by INEC. INEC initially, of course, recognized Jegede as stated earlier, but when the court now says this is the situation, well, it has no choice other than to comply until a superior order is made. But that is by a court that is higher than the one that gave the earlier. So in this particular case, INEC has no choice than to continue with its preparation. And like we said, don't forget, no party, none of the parties that has indicated interest to participate in this election has been disallowed. We have about 28 parties, including the PDP itself. The only thing is that there is a factional problem, which, as far as INEC is concerned, it has nothing to do with INEC. So we cannot wait. Dr. Balogun said it earlier, that we cannot continue to wait for them because going by the antics of politicians everywhere, particularly in Nigeria, once they realize that they are not likely to get this thing, they may want to bring up various kind of antics, various kind of gimmicks to ensure that they remember. It was in the air that some forces are on now in Ondo State to canvass for 3 weeks extension of this election, which I don't think is necessary. So the scenario, what's on ground now, is conducive enough for the election to be conducted next week Saturday. So to now answer your question directly, I believe that INEC is in order to continue with the process, and it is in the interest of not just Ondo State people, but also in the interest of Nigeria as a whole, that that election
should go ahead
and hold very well, and that we are seizing this opportunity to appeal to INEC not to let us have another inconclusive election, no matter what. Elections should be conducted and concluded, just as we had in Edo State. We should have the same thing in Ondo next week Saturday.
Let's take a walk down history now to what happened in Lagos State in 1991, the emergence of Sir Michael Otedola, as the
dark horse.
Exactly, in Lagos State, as the Lagos State governor. We saw a situation there where there was internal wrangling within the SDP. The two candidates in the SDP, there were issues. Eventually, they had to be disqualified, and NRC wasn't given the chance to win the election. It was all about SDP, but we saw a lot of people flock to the NRC to vote for Sir Michael Otedola simply because the SDP had issues. It seems to be this is what is playing out this time around.
Are we looking at a repeat?
Are we seeing that now? You know,
in Ondo State.
Happen, yes, in Ondo
Not
State,
quite
especially
the same.
because
No.
of what's going on in the PDP.
No, not quite the same. The scenario in Lagos, yes, it could happen when you have very serious internal crisis within the political parties. People might go for what they call anti-party activities and vote. They may choose to vote for candidates of other political parties, if only to teach the party hierarchy some political lesson of their life. That's what happened in Lagos. In the case of Ondo State, I don't think the scenario is that powerful. It's not powerful enough to have an Otedola in Ondo State in this election.
In terms of the candidates now or the parties?
Yes.
Let's not forget that, both. Let's not forget that these days, you don't just look at the parties anymore, because most of our political parties are not philosophically and ideologically based. So you also look at the personalities. People vote for persons in some cases. People vote for parties in some cases. People vote for a combination of parties and personalities. In Ondo State, to my mind, I think a lot of people will vote for APC as a political party. After all, they have their own large followership, combined with the personality of Rotimi Akeredolu, who, like I said, is an eminently qualified individual to contest and even win the Ondo State gubernatorial election. Again, let me seize this opportunity to congratulate the Ondo people, because the kind of individuals and personalities that have been thrown up on different political platforms are all qualified.
Are you also looking at the fact that for the AD, some people will say no one expected the kind of followership that they are seeing now in so short a time of his emergence as the AD candidate? And don't forget also that, yes, even though the situation is still in the court for the PDP, the power of incumbency always does have one thing or the other to do with elections in the country, and we know that Itaya Jegede is backed by the governor of the state, Olusegun Mimiko. So that is there. We do not know what will play out in the courts in days to come. So are you looking at those factors also?
If Jegede and the PDP have not had this kind of problem they're having, yes, of course, because Dr. Mimiko has performed as a governor. So he probably would have benefited from his record of performance. But given the fact that they're having this legal tangle, and I suspect very strongly that they may be in court till eternity. They may be in court till after the election. And like he was saying, my brother here was saying, INEC really doesn't have much to say about the PDP crisis. Court has the final say. And it's whatever the court says, the INEC will abide by. And what if the court has not said anything until election day, until after the election? So PDP has that problem to continue to deal with. As for the AD, large rally crowds don't experience has taught me to believe that large rally crowds don't always translate into electoral votes of victory. We have seen that in so many cases, especially in our kind of political environment, where you can even rent a crowd
But the same goes
What
for
would you-
APC also.
We do rent crowd. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Even for APC. So what matters is those who are doing house to house, the grassroots people, those who are actually mobilized, those who have the capability and the capacity to move people to the voting centers on election day, those who know where to really go for these voters and get them out to vote. So don't be deceived by large
So
crowds.
what you're saying is that the followership we see coming from the AD angle of things is more or less mock followership.
Well, I won't say mock as such, but I would just say perhaps if you see them at their rallies, they probably are rented crowds. They're probably rented crowds.
That is Dr. Kola Balogun.
That's his own
And you also
perspective.
you also can also say that about APC or even about PDP. But the point I'm making, however, is that really, any political party with committed members, with loyal members, those who go into the grassroots and really get people out to vote, will likely to win the next election. And in this instance, I think APC has that advantage.
All right. One other issue that has been, a source of concern is security issues for Ondo State. Some likened it to some of the. We heard the governor say that, look, if things were not quickly resolved, we may have a security breakdown in the state. We cast our mind back also to 1983, the issues there, and how many people did lose their lives. In terms of ensuring that we have peaceful elections, the security structure in the states, according to that report, we already began to see armored vehicles being situated in strategic places, So, are you concerned that there may be a breakdown of law and order there, and that security would be a major concern down the line because of some of these issues now?
Normally, the lot is at stake. Incidentally, the INEC chief, I read something yesterday where he said that for INEC, they usually have greater problem to contend with when they are doing this kind of election, rather than that of general election. The reason being that so many attentions will be concentrated, so many people will converge. They may not necessarily be physical. So what if it's nationwide? You have your own territory to contend with, so you don't have to go to. So in this case, that probably explains why there is this so much concern about security. But I think that given the report that we have had, given what the information we are getting from Ondo, incidentally, I was there as a monitor when Miko was first came in. When he contended with, the other time when he contested with Akredo and move around the state. The people of Ondo are still the same the way they were in 1983, very passionate about the elections and things like that. But then, I think that they will realize that it is a person who goes to war and is able to come back that will be able to give narration of what happened on the one front. In other words, they should know that life is sacrosanct, and whatever happens now, another 4 years is coming, whereby they will have another opportunity. So I think that the security agencies appear to be up to the task. The election should, and hopefully will go as peaceful as possible, and we are going to have a very successful election.
Okay, as we gradually wind down, the thought popped in my head now. We recall the issue with Amechi and his emergence as the governor back then, how it was by court ruling. And we also saw the surprise victory that the likes of Donald Trump, took up in the United States. Now, if for any reason the PDP does emerge winner, as against everyone's expectations, would you see a scenario, or do you perceive maybe we'd have a repeat of the Amechi incident?
Whereby a court will now come later and say it was Jegede rather than Jimo Ibrahim.
Have been there.
Oh, well, you see, there's this tendency these days in Nigeria, which is a bit worrisome. And at a point, I hope that our political scientists will be able to navigate the path for us, whereby we've been having governors that were decided by the court rather than the electorate. It's becoming more rampant, and it's a bit worrisome in the sense that people's desire, people's intention or wish somehow moderated, if not changed, by the court. It's a worrisome development. So in this particular case, one cannot completely say it may not happen, but it will be a very sad thing, to put it mildly.
Why sad?
Yeah, in the sense that it is, for now, Jegede has not been going around to campaign for votes, for obvious reasons, because he's not the official candidate. Okay. So, just as the case that happened in Kogi State, remember?
When you say he's not the official candidate,
yeah, of
PDP. Talking about
Jegede
or Ibrahim?
Yes, Jegede, for now, Chimo Ibrahim is the official candidate of PDP.
Yes.
In Ondo State. So, if PDP won the election, and later on the court now says it was Jegede who was supposed to be, the point I'm making is that Jegede does not have a direct communication, at least officially, to the world, with the electorate, so that the electorate will have.
But then he was the one that emerged in the.
That's a permanent. That's within the. Yeah, that's within the party. Don't forget, we are talking of a larger population of Ondo State now, and remember, the people there are more than political parties. Even all the political parties put together, because there are some people, there are many people, not just some people, many people don't belong to any political parties, and yet they will vote. They are to participate in deciding who will govern them for the next 4 years. So it is those people that are being deprived. If the court eventually is the one to decide.
Even though Ondo PDP says we still pitch our tent with the entire Jegede, they have come out to.
That is Ondo PDP, not necessarily Ondo people. The only way we will know what the Ondo people are saying is through the election.
Okay. Dr. Kola Balogun, what's your take on this?
Well, you're giving me a hypothetical stuff to chew.
We have seen these situations happen.
Yeah, but in the case of Ondo State, it is still very much hypothetical. So I'm going to deal with it hypothetically. What if Jegede, or what if Ondo people, and he just told you something. You're talking about PDP members in Ondo State are sticking with Jegede. And so what if PDP members in Ondo State decide to vote for Jegede? What if the PDP members' votes are not enough to make him to win the election? And what if PDP members' votes are enough to make him to win the election? And of course, then the court will come around to say he's the governor. That is the scenario. That's what happened in Rivers State. And the flip side of that coin is that what if all that does not happen?